All right, so we just made a controller class using Flask make controller, but it's pretty basic, and you almost had to type more out to do that than you would to make a simple class and connect it here. Um, I maybe if you just love terminal commands, then you would use this. I think the real power shines when you start using the optional flags. And the first optional flag is CRUD. And what CRUD does is it goes back to those 7 RESTful actions and creates a method in your controller class for each one, and then some of them don't need views, but some of them do need views, so it will make the view files that you need, um, and it won't make the ones that you don't need, and it will redirect to the index view file or to the index route, and for the ones that are our post. So after you say delete in this example, recipe, it would then redirect you back to the list of all the posts. Or after you save and edit to a particular recipe, it would redirect you back to the list of all the recipes, which is pretty much the standard process that most web applications do. So let's let's run this now. Um, in this example, you can see I have an ingredient controller because we already have a recipe controller, and let's not mess with that one. So let's do this Flask make controller, and then we'll do ingredient, if I can spell correctly, ingredient controller, and we will put minus minus CRUD on there. Now, let's see here. We'll want to go to a route. Oh, let's go over here. Let's go to a route that we're going to be able to see. So, ingredient, and that's an S, ingredients. We can just go to ingredients slash, or we can go to ingredients 1, 2, 3. We have our 404 error here, so we'll put our flag CRUD. Okay, so let's just see what happens. All right, press enter. Whoa, whole bunch of stuff, so much stuff that I just have to continue to keep um, scrolling. That's the warning that we had about that recipe. So it started here. Hey, and this got wired up. Let's see. Let's just kind of check out what's going on here. We go here. Look, we got another view. So we have quite a few views. We had a very simple command, which is Flask make controller, controller's name, CRUD. So let's see what we got out of this. And everything is documented down here. So if you want to go through that, you can. But we see the ingredient controller is registered in our controllers. If we go to ingredient controller, then what we see is we have index, show, create, store, edit, update, destroy. So we have all 7 RESTful actions. Notice that sometimes we render a template. So if we go to show and number like we did, we'll see the template, but sometimes we redirect. So this is creating a ingredient, whereas this is storing that new creation. So you won't have a template for this one, but you will for this one. And so these redirects don't have templates. Let's go down here to templates, look at the ingredients. So we have the create, edit, index, and show, which correspond to the methods that render the templates. Let's look at the routes. And so with the controller, we ended up, and the option flag of CRUD, we ended up with templates, even though we didn't write a Flask make view. We actually wrote a Flask make controller. It's just all the wiring up just happened. So it's kind of, I wrote this so if your brain thinks more along views, you can use Flask make view. If your brain thinks more along controllers, you can use Flask make controller. And then, as you can probably guess, if your brain thinks more along models, you can use Flask make model. Um, we don't actually have an ingredient model because we didn't add that flag, but we'll do that in the next. But let's go to routes just to see what we got there. Ingredients with an S, and here are all our routes. So we could go to, we can check this out. Let's look at the create and just see that there is something there. Oops. It's because I put the E on the end of it. There it is. Create. So, and there's a route there. All right. So we are kind of missing something. I felt like when I wrote this, I was like, hey, I'm missing the new object I just wrote, model, but they may not want that, so I'll make that a flag, and I'll show you that in the next video.